Hi everyone, this is Cynthia, psychic and astrologer. So today we're going to be discussing the weekly horoscope for March 23rd through March 29th for all 12 sun signs. So let's get started. Aries. Now, Mercury is actually going to be entering your own sign on March 27th. So, one of the things that I did want to point out is that you're definitely going to notice a lot of activity, taking short trips, running around, seeing an increase of emails, text messages, phone calls for the next few weeks. Now, one of the things that I did want to point out is that here, not necessarily as we get into the month of April, but towards the end of April and into May, we're going to start running into a Mercury retrograde again. And this is actually going to be falling more so in the house of your finances. So, one of the things that I would suggest that you may want to do is start kind of taking care of any issues relating with finances or financial obligations. This could actually bring about a time where you might have to kind of take a look at if something's not working, that maybe it's time to make some changes. So, one of the things that I did want to point out is that this could actually even relate to financial obligations or maybe even working, changing jobs, bringing in more money. What's interesting is that on March 23rd and March 28th, financial obligations are going to be highlighted there for you. And this could bring about an indication of taking care of some financial obligations, maybe even budgeting, finding new ways to save and to get ahead. So, this is actually going to be an interesting time. It's a really good time to look over your finances. And what's interesting is that as you're kind of getting ahead, building more security, building more stability, um, this can actually help you in disciplining you to be more structured and focused with your finances. So, if anything, I think it might be helping you to just, if you were being maybe a little careless, maybe spending more than usual, this is actually going to be a time where you're looking over the finances more easily and just kind of budgeting more. Now, one thing that I did want to point out, we're going to have a new moon in your sign on April 1st. Now, depending where you live at, if you live like in the West Coast area, then you're going to start to feel the new moon kicking in on March 31st. But this is in Aries. Aries is a representation of new beginnings, a new chapter in your life. Pluto, Mars, and Saturn all support this new moon. So, this can actually be an indication of new opportunities, new ventures, finding ways to bring in more security for the long term. And this could actually be very beneficial for you. This could actually even even open up more doors for you to get ahead with your finances, plan and organize more with your finances, be more open to see what you can do. So, the reason why I point this out is one, it's in your sign. And again, it's also a sense of new opportunities, new changes. And this could actually be an indication of a new chapter in your life that can open up many doors for you. So, this is actually a time where there's a lot of energy going on for you. This could bring about great connections, great opportunities. So just staying focused on that. It may feel like you're having to get a little bit more strict with yourself, but this discipline is actually going to help you out a lot for you to really advance and focus on organizing and planning more for your financial future. Taurus. So, the energy that's actually going to be standing out for you this coming week will actually be more about your own inner self. With Mercury entering your 12th house of secrets and solitude on March 27th, this is actually going to be a time of reflection, maybe even a time to resolve old issues, and maybe even issues that it's time to get rid of, unhealthy habits to get rid of. Now, you're going to actually have your mind racing. So, there's going to be many thoughts and ideas coming to your head. I would suggest to write them down. Maybe you are putting a project together. Maybe this is a time of reflection to see what you don't need in your life and maybe what's time to get rid of from your life. Now, this is actually going to be a significant time because at the end of the month, whether it's if you're on the West Coast and it's around March 31st, if you're in the East Coast and it's on April 1st, um, the new moon is actually going to be entering your 12th house of secrets and solitude. And this will be a time to get rid of what you don't need in your life. This could be unhealthy habits, unhealthy people from your life. This could also be a time where you need to really start focusing on getting ready for the next chapter in your life. Now, many times what I notice is when someone is going through a time of a transition, a change, whether it's within your own inner self, whether it is on a personal level, on a psychological level, on a physical level. And this change could be your own appearance. This change could be financial, career. And this could be a time where you're just thinking all different things. If I do this, if I go this way, if I go that way, being at the crossroads and going, what do I need to do next? And this could be a time of making those changes. Now, yes, change can be scary, and you are a sign that could be quite stubborn in change. But this is actually going to be a time with this new moon that it really puts you in a situation to start looking at things different. One thing that I do want to point out is that on April 30th, you're going to have a new moon solar eclipse in your sign. And this is significant because you need to keep an eye what happens 30 days before that new moon eclipse, which would be around March 30th, 31st, and 30 days after the eclipse, which would obviously be late May. So you want to keep an eye around that time period to see what is going on for myself, within myself, as to where these changes could be occurring. Maybe it's a personal relationship. Maybe thinking it's time to settle down and get married. Maybe it's time to pursue a career path, going to college, taking on a new studies to advance your career. Maybe it's a certification of some sort. Maybe it's even time to pursue a new way of doing things for yourself so that you could actually start being happy. And I feel that with everything going on, with Mercury entering your 12th house and just being focused on pursuing these thoughts and ideas, that I think it's preparing you for when this eclipse occurs, that these changes, they don't necessarily have to be all at once. I will say, though, Uranus is currently in your own sign. So when that eclipse occurs, it's actually going to connect well with Uranus. So there could be some internal, physical, personal changes. And this, I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to happen all at once, but it could be a slow, gradual process. So it's definitely going to be something that I think you want to be prepared for and aware of, that it's a new chapter in your life. And everything that's going to be starting to go on this week, I think is going to be kind of encouraging you that some of these changes that are going to be coming about, like I said, they're preparing you for something better, for something maybe more significant. It may seem a little scary at the beginning, but I think it's actually going to be very positive and that works out for you at the end. Gemini. So, one of the things that I did want to point out is that this is actually going to be a more social time for you. Mercury is going to be entering your 11th house of friendships, groups, and organizations on March 27th. We're going to have a new moon, either if you want to call it March 31st, April 1st, and also your 11th house of friendships, groups, and organizations. So your social energy there is going to be increasing. You may find yourself seeing an increase of communication with family and friends. This could also be a time where you may actually be focusing on connecting and collaborating and working with others. This could actually be a time where you are actually putting maybe events or parties together. Maybe you're attending events or parties. This could be in relation to concerts and entertainment or just, um, well, I know that, stuff like graduations are coming and proms and parties, and it just kind of depends, all these different events. Maybe people are starting to get more confident to be around each other. So this could relate to you being more open to being around others. It doesn't have to be groups of like 200 people. It could be just 10 people. But the energy is actually looking very, very positive, very good to where it helps you to build a greater connection with others, to socialize, to build connections, to be more open to interacting. Now, this could also relate to your career. Take, for instance, I always use the example of a realtor that connects, puts social groups together, reaches out, does, to build clients and customers and things like that. So maybe these events could be to build connections with people maybe in your local area, to reach out and see like, hey, I just want to connect and let you know that I'm here if you ever need any kind of communication, information, things like that. So, I want to give you a couple days to really keep an eye out for that I think are going to be significant for your career. So, keep an eye on the dates of March 26th and March 28th. And the reason why I bring those up is because I feel that they would be significant for career and financial opportunities. Like I said, maybe you're building and working towards some connections there. And this is actually going to be a great time to build these connections. These connections could also relate to maybe getting a job or going through interviews, building, that resume up to eventually get a job that brings you a great opportunity. Now, one of the things that I would want to put out there for you is that we are going to be having a solar eclipse at the end of April. Now, for you though, it is going to be falling more on your 12th house. So, this is actually going to be a time of change and reflection and looking into what has not been working for you. But what is very positive is that I think career or financials are going to be connected. And the reason why I say that is because Venus and Jupiter are going to connect very well during that solar eclipse. So, the reason why I'm bringing this up right now is because I always tell everyone whenever we're dealing with an eclipse, the energy of an eclipse lasts 6 months. Unlike a new moon that only lasts, a regular new moon only lasts 2 weeks, an eclipse, the energy lasts 6 months. So, what I always put out there is keep an eye what starts to happen for you 30 days before and 30 days after the date of an eclipse. So the solar moon eclipse will happen on April 30th. So towards the end of this month, all the way towards the end of May, start keeping an eye what starts to happen for you around that time. I think your career is going to play a big part in it, whether it's going back to school, taking on a new career path. Just start keeping an eye what happens during that time. I think it's going to play a significant part of even what starts happening for you after August and even into 2023. Cancer, your career is going to be highlighted for you this next week. Mercury is going to be entering your career house on March 27th. The new moon that actually falls at the end of this month, or April 1st, will also fall in your career house. Now, you can expect to work hard for the money. You can definitely expect that there's going to be a lot of energy going on here, and you're going to keep yourself busy. There could be many task projects going on that maybe it's just a busy time for you, but you could definitely expect there's going to be a lot going on. Now, a couple days that I want to put out there for you to focus on that I think are going to be significant is going to be March 26th and March 28th. But I mean, not just this entire week, but even into next month will be a significant time for you for your career. Um, One of the things that I did want to point out is that towards the end of April and into May, more so in May though, we're going to start having a Mercury retrograde. And even though for you, it's going to be affecting you in a different way, sometimes the energy of a Mercury retrograde can cause delays. And for you, I feel that some of these delays could relate to something relating with finances or career. So the only thing that I will point out for you is right now is a really, really good time to push forward and to move forward on anything that's going on for you for your career. But just kind of be aware there could be a slowing down, maybe some setbacks. I don't want to put it out there in a negative way, but just certain things that you just want to be prepared for. So anything you can do to take care of here in this next month, I think are going to be very positive and work out positive for you. Now, one of the things that I did want to point out is so we are going to be having a solar eclipse at the end of April. Now, for you though, the solar eclipse is actually going to be in your 11th house of friendships, groups, and organizations. The only thing that I would say though is this can create a situation of kind of making some last minute changes or changes that may reflect on where you live. Um, Maybe the environment can put you in a different environment. And sometimes I've seen this where someone works in one department, then they do a lateral move and they go into a different department. So you're now surrounded by a different group of people. And it could come in this way. Now, if this is something maybe you've been looking to, like a transfer, this may not be a big issue for you. The energy of that solar eclipse, I feel, is very, very positive. So anything that you do from here all the way till for the next few months, but especially these next couple months, I mean, to me, I would say just ends up working out positive for you at the end. So if anything, I would say it's something that I would say just to kind of be aware of. But anything in relation to your career that you could start working on now, I think will help you and pay off for you in the long term. Leo. Now, one of the things that I keep getting is there may be some travel, or maybe you take on some studies, maybe to further your career. So, Mercury is going to be entering your ninth house of long distance trips, foreign people and places on March 27th. Now, with Mercury in your ninth house, this is definitely going to make you studious, but this could also be a time that you're just doing some research. If you are planning to take a long distance trip, maybe a cruise, you might be just kind of doing some studying on this, and maybe you're just doing your research to see where to go. Now, this could also even be a time where you might even decide to um, enter college, maybe enter a university, take on some classes or courses to further your career. This is also really a great time for you to just broaden your horizons and learn something new. Maybe you actually even decide to learn a new language or culture. Now, this is actually a very significant time to even connect with people from afar, whether it's relatives, family, friends, um, maybe people you lost contact with. One of the things that I did want to mention is that close to April 1st, whether you want to call it March 31st or April 1st, the new moon is going to be entering also the ninth house. Now, for you though, what's interesting that I tend to notice it connected to also is with the love life. And I don't know if I want to say this relates to maybe doing some travel with a partner or lover. Maybe you're just building more connections with someone close to you. This could also be a time where you are actually um, just having some greater communication. Maybe you are planning a trip with someone. And maybe this is also a time where you are being open to building a greater connection, maybe meeting somebody new, maybe doing some travel with them or traveling to go see them and vice versa. Um, Speaking of partners, I do want to give you the dates of March 26th and March 28th. So, what I do like about those times is that it's actually significant for a partnership or relationship. Now, the way the energy is going to be flowing, it has a more serious tone. So, this could actually be an indication of having more serious conversations with someone. Now, partner could also be a professional partner, someone you're collaborating, like a business partner, someone you're working with closely that will help further your career. So, this could be a time maybe discussing financials or collaborating. Okay, if we work together, what part are you going to take on? And, working together and building this, whether it's building a business, building a new project together. So, it just isn't on a personal level. Um, if it is on a personal level, it could be a time to have some serious discussions with each other. And this could also be a time that if there have been some issues that need to be dealt with and worked on, or maybe just some differences, maybe now it's just time to say, hey, we now need to start figuring out where all this is going. And it's time to have those serious conversations. What is the next step? What is the next chapter? Or is there another chapter? And maybe it's just the time to just start having more communication, more open communication, just getting things out in the open. If anything, I think it's just going to help to clear the air. This doesn't have to be on a, like I said, personal level. This could be on a professional level. What part are you going to take on? What part am I going to take on? So that we can move forward and work together so that we can build this great relationship, partnership, this great business. If anything, all it's doing is it's helping to be more precise on everyone's role, or if there is a future there, I need to know now versus not saying anything at all. And they're just making the assumption that the other person just knows or understands where you're coming from. So, one thing that I do want to quickly mention is that at the end of April, there's going to be a solar eclipse that falls in your career house. What I love about this eclipse is that Venus and Jupiter are going to connect very well from your eighth house of joint resources, taxes, credit, and loans. So, this relating to your career, the energy of a new moon eclipse lasts 6 months. Now, there's a series of Tauruses eclipses that we're going to be going through this year and into next year. So, right now, this one that you're going to be experiencing is in your career house with Venus and Jupiter, that would be very significant and positive and can bring great opportunities there and money. Um, you want to start keeping an eye towards the end of this month all the way to the end of May to see what and how that eclipse will affect you. Um, Maybe you're running into some career opportunities that could really bring about some big changes, more money. Like I said, maybe it's a business venture or opening up a business, but this is actually going to be quite significant. Mars and Pluto are actually looking really good also, which creates structure and discipline and focus. And that's really going to help to build on that career. So, one thing that I really love for you is that it is in your career house. And Venus and Jupiter are going to be very significant. I'll be discussing that more so next month. But right now, just start keeping an eye towards the end of this month, all the way towards the end of May. See how this eclipse is going to start affecting you. And again, something related with career, maybe career path, education. So there's going to be kind of a lot going on here. And a lot of this will begin towards the end of this month. Virgo. So on March 27th, Mercury is going to be entering your eighth house, joint resources, taxes, credit cards, and loans. What's interesting is that on April 1st, we're going to be having a new moon in this same house. So the next 2 to 3 weeks is actually going to be a time where you may gain through bonuses and commissions, taxes, credit cards, and loans. There could be the possibility of budgeting and saving, and also taking care of some financial obligations connected to others. This could also be a time where maybe you have to pay off some debts or bills, and this could actually just be a great time to get ahead with your finances. Now, a couple days to keep an eye out for, which will be March 26th and March 28th, are actually going to be significant times where you're really going to be really noticing a time to budget and time to pay off any kind of debts or bills. It's also a great time to save for the future. You could also be budgeting and saving, maybe to make a major purchase like a vehicle, a computer, maybe even to purchase a home. This will be also a great time for you to look over your finances very cautiously and carefully and looking over line by line everything that you need to take care of. So it's a great time for the finances, financial opportunities that could easily be there for the long term. This would be a great time for you to get ahead with your finances and opportunities that could bring you more money. Libra. Now, partnerships and relationships are going to be highlighted for you. For one, you're going to have Mercury entering your partnership house on March 27th. This is actually a great time to have open communication with someone. This doesn't necessarily have to be a personal partnership. This could actually be a professional type of partnership, like a client, customer, coworker, a business partnership. And this could be actually a great time to work out and resolve any issues or problems. Now, what's interesting is that there will be a new moon in this same partnership house on April 1st. So the next couple weeks, oh, actually, from here this next week, and the next couple weeks after that, would actually be a great time where you may actually collaborate and work with others to further your career. Maybe you could meet somebody significant. Maybe you get engaged or get married. This could also be a time where you build a partnership, meeting somebody new. Um, what's interesting is that around March 28th, this is actually a time that could really bring about some serious discussions. It could actually relate to finances, maybe collaborating, maybe it has to relate with a contract or a business agreement, but definitely keep an eye on that day. It really feels like there could be some significant decisions made around that time and on that day. Now, the only thing that I want you to just be aware of is that around March 23rd, there could be a feeling of being deceived, whether it's them possibly deceiving you, you deceiving them, or not being able to see things clear. So I would say maybe not making a final decision at that time. Wait closer to the 28th. Things are a lot more clear. You have more precise information, and this could help you in signing any contracts, making any final agreements, negotiations, getting to a final resolution. So the week is actually going to be productive, and it's actually the next couple weeks that are going to be productive. And this could actually be a time where I feel working and collaborating with others are is really this is really a time about being around others than doing things by yourself. And this could relate to, like I said, someone or working with someone. This could also be a significant time for personal relationships, and maybe even the planning of taking the next step with someone. And this could actually be a significant time to take the next leap in the next chapter of a relationship or partnership. And this could actually bring about what I would consider could be long-term uh, results and connections. Scorpio, Mercury enters your sixth house of work, service, and health on March 27th. Now, the next 3 weeks is actually going to be a time for you to take care of tedious tasks and projects. This could also be a time where you may notice an increase of emails, text messages, phone calls, running errands, taking care of chores and tasks. Now, on April 1st, Mercury will also be entering the same sign and house. So, this could actually be a time of you noticing an increase of tasks and projects. This could actually be even a great time to clean out the closets, the garage, maybe even, getting rid of old items, cleaning out a room, maybe even a good time to discard what you don't need around and just getting rid of what you don't need around. Now, this is also a great time to focus on your health and well being. You may exercise, lose weight. Maybe this could also be a time to take on a new health regimen. It could also be related to your teeth or your bones. Maybe it's a time to go to the dentist or maybe start focusing on your bones, whether it's cardio, going to the chiropractor, things like that. And it could be related, like I said, with your health and well being. Now, the only other thing that I would say though is so we're going to be having a new moon solar eclipse on April 30th. For you, it's going to fall in your partnership house. Now, I love that solar eclipse for you. I mean, Venus and Jupiter are going to connect so well from your fifth house. I mean, this is actually even a significant time. Could bring about a great connection with others, whether it's getting married, getting engaged, maybe a significant time of a baby on the way, spending time with children. And that could also bring about a time of collaborations and working with others. And this could actually even relate to your career. So, things that are going to be starting to happen around this new moon coming on April 1st and the energy of everything that's going on as you enter Mercury, I think it's going to relate to the solar eclipse that comes about on April 30th. So, a solar eclipse has the energy of lasting 6 months. And I always tell everyone keep an eye 30 days before an eclipse and 30 days after an eclipse to really see what significantly stands out around that time of events taking place. So the energy seems to be pretty active, a lot of activity, a lot of projects. I think it's going to be a time where you're really going to find yourself keeping busy. There's definitely going to be what could easily bring about great partnerships, relationships, collaborations, working with your health, taking care of any issues relating to your health. Maybe it's just finally taking care of, like doing a physical just to make sure everything's, working fine. But this could actually be a time where maybe you're starting to focus on what you've been missing out and things that you need to work on for yourself. This could bring about a greater job opportunity, ways to bring in more money, build more financial security. And this could actually relate to you maybe being open to building something for the long term for yourself. So it's definitely going to be a significant time. I'll discuss the solar eclipse for next month later on. But right now, just keep an eye. There's going to be a lot going on here very soon. And things that you start up here in this next week are going to be quite significant. What happens there for next month, and especially with that eclipse. Sagittarius. So, financial dates for you to keep an eye out for is going to be March 26th and March 28th. So the reason why I want to point that out is because we're going to be having a solar eclipse on April 30th. And I feel like a lot that's going to be going on for you during this time is actually going to be related to some kind of financial situation. Maybe it's budgeting, saving, getting a new job, finding ways to bring in more money. And this could easily reflect what you do there from now into the future and then the next few months. This could actually be affecting you in the sense of maybe, like I said, finding more ways and other ways to bring in more money, more financial stability and security. Now, this could also relate to your health and well being and just taking care of more yourself there. So, Mercury is going to be entering your fifth house of love, children, and creative projects on May 27th, but we are going to be having a new moon on the fifth in the fifth house on April 1st. So whenever we have a solar eclipse, I always tell everyone keep an eye what happens 30 days before and 30 days after an eclipse to kind of get an idea what's going on with that eclipse. So obviously around this time, you want to start kind of keeping an eye what is happening with or for you when that eclipse starts to occur. So the eclipse is actually going to be falling in your sixth house of work, service, and health. This new moon is obviously in the fifth house, but the way the energy is progressing can relate to something with the home. The only reason why I bring that up is because Venus and Jupiter are going to be connecting very well in the home. And this could relate to maybe some projects in the home, doing some renovations, maybe even buying a whole new set of furniture or doing something that may add value to the home. Again, it could also lead to relocating and purchasing a home. So, the energy that's going to be going on around this time could actually create a situation to where you start to become more open to see what else do you need to do in order to get ahead with the finances. And this could actually even reflect something relating with children, maybe purchasing a home to make, for the kids to have more of their own room or something. So maybe going to a bigger house. So this could relate with children. This could also relate to maybe changes in the home where maybe you're trying to bring more your work home. So working from home. And this could actually be a significant time for your career. So it's a very positive, upbeat time. The energy is looking very positive. I don't even get anything negative that I would point out. Um, if anything, like I said, around the 26th and the 28th just will be a time to look over the finances, but I'm not really getting anything that tells me something to be worried about. It's just maybe a time where you start to kind of maybe be more cautious and more uh, careful on your finances and maybe where your finances are going or what you want to do next with your finances. So obviously there's going to be a lot to discuss, especially as we start to deal with the eclipse. But I'll be discussing that more so as we get into April. But right now it's just something to kind of be aware of what's going to be coming up. If you already have an idea that this is something you might be doing, then I don't think there may be any big surprises. It's just things may kind of happen as maybe quicker than what you'd expect. Capricorn. So Mercury is going to be entering your fourth house of home on March 27th. So the next few weeks will be relating with issues relating to the home. Now, what's interesting is that you're going to also have a new moon on April 1st in the fourth house of home. So the next few weeks can bring about a time to deal with issues relating to relocating, renovating, or making changes around the home. This could also be a time when maybe you make some renovations or changes in the home. Could be to add value. This could also just be a time to take care of any tedious tasks and projects around the home, maybe doing some cleaning up, getting rid of old items in the home, cleaning up the garage or the closets. Like I said, renovations or adding something to add value to the home. There could be the possibility of someone moving in or moving out of the home. Now, the energy on March 26th and March 28th is actually going to be looking pretty positive on a financial level in connection to the home. Again, maybe it relates to selling a home, making some renovations, taking maybe a home equity line of equity to add some create some renovations and to take out a loan to, like I said, do some renovations or some upgrades. There could be maybe some electrical issues, and this could relate to appliances or maybe some electrical issues that you just need to make repairs. Now, the one thing that I did want to point out is that there's going to be a new moon eclipse on April 30th, and this will fall in your fifth house of home. Now, the home, obviously, the fifth house of love, children, and creative projects, but I feel like the home is also going to be reflected in some way. Now, this could also be a time where maybe someone like a child moves away from the home, and this could just be a time of making some changes. And maybe it's also a time where you decide maybe to downgrade. Let's say you had a 4 bedroom house, and you decided, okay, people are moving out of the home. Now I want to downgrade to maybe like a 2 bedroom condo. So this could be a period of time where you're making that transition and those changes. But the energy is actually going to be looking very positive. And I always say keep an eye at least about a good 30 days before an eclipse, which would be around this time, to see maybe what starts to happen around that time with that. So there's definitely going to be a lot of energy. Maybe you're moving into an apartment, maybe dealing with financial documents to get a loan or a lease for a home. This would, be a significant time, and this could bring about some great opportunities and great changes in relation to the home. Aquarius. So Mercury is going to be entering your third house of short trips, communication, siblings, and neighbors on March 27th. Now, the energy of the next 3 weeks is definitely going to be creating a big boost of energy for you. And this could take you to short trips out of town. You might see an increase of communication through emails, text messages, phone calls. Now, what's interesting is that the new moon on April 1st is actually going to be falling in your third house of short trips and communication. So, this will add an additional 2 weeks where you may actually see short trips, an increase of short trips, an increase of communication. This could also be a time where maybe you decide to repair or replace a vehicle, computer, cell phone, telephone. Um, Maybe you even find yourself seeing an increase of communication with family and friends. So the energy is actually looking very positive to see an increase of connections and communication. This would actually be a great time where you build new connections. Maybe you even become studious, in other words, also going back to school, or maybe even just study up a new topic of interest. Maybe you're just doing your own research. Now, what's interesting is that there's going to be a new moon eclipse on April 30th. Now, for you, though, on April 30th, it falls in the fourth house of home. So, what's interesting is this could create a situation where maybe you move into a new place. Maybe you decide to have a home office, or maybe even create like a home studio, or even an area where it becomes kind of like maybe for your work, maybe where you do some studying, maybe where you teach others. Maybe it's a homework studio study area. So, this is going to be quite an interesting time, and this could really open up opportunities there that could actually even indicate purchasing a home. Um, it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual home. This could be the process of leasing, renting, purchasing, maybe to do an investment into a home. This could also relate to just making some big, adjustments and changes there that could really bring about big opportunities and big changes for you. To me, the way the energy is flowing is very positive. As a matter of fact, the solar eclipse that we're going to have on April 30th actually will connect very well with Venus and Jupiter currently in your second house of earned income. And again, if this is in any way connected with the home, maybe you're selling a home and you make a profit. Maybe you're purchasing a home. And like I said, maybe it's to rent or to lease out. And this could bring you side income and it could be a side venture for you. So that's going to be pretty productive. And everything that starts to go on around this time could be an indication of things that are going to be coming about for you with that solar eclipse later on in April. So definitely start keeping an eye for that. If you have an idea maybe what you're going to be doing. This could be a very significant time, very positive time. I don't know. I just like the energy of that eclipse. And I think it can easily create and bring about lots of great opportunities and financial benefits for you. Pisces. Now, earned income, making money, building financial security is the theme for you this week. Mercury is going to be entering your second house of earned income on March 27th. Now, on March 26th and on March 28th will be significant for you also financially. So, the next few weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, is actually going to be a significant time of financial opportunities. This could bring more money, maybe a job change, a new source of income, maybe a raise, or a whole job change that could bring you more money. The new moon on April 1st will also fall in your second house of earned income. And a new moon that will last 2 weeks, that could bring about more opportunities to make more money. Like I said, build more financial security. And this could actually be a very beneficial time for you to get ahead, to build more security, to find new ways of how to move forward and financially. Maybe you start a business or a business venture. So, a couple of the days that I feel are going to be significant for you is going to be March 23rd and actually March 23rd. I'll get to the other date later on. But March 23rd is significant because it's going to relate to your sign and it's really going to connect with your personal sign where your own personal instincts and abilities are going to be strong and positive. And this could actually be very beneficial for you that pays off at the end. So the other date is actually going to be on April 30th. So there's going to be a new moon solar eclipse on April 30th. That'll fall in your third house of short trips, communication, siblings, and neighbors. But Venus and Jupiter, that will be in your sign, will also be affecting that eclipse. So, a regular new moon, the energy lasts 2 weeks. But when you have a new moon eclipse, that lasts 6 months. So, the new moon solar eclipse will last 6 months. So, the energy of that eclipse will continue on for literally like half this year. And what goes on during that time will also play a part in everything going on for half the year. So Venus and Jupiter connect very well in your sign. And this will be significant because this could bring about great opportunities for you, great benefits, great opportunities to you. Maybe it's job related, maybe it's the home, maybe it's with relationships. Now, obviously, with everything going on related to your second house of earned income, this could easily relate to jobs or building financial security and a source of income. Um, what I always tell everyone is that keep an eye 30 days before an eclipse to see what will be going on for that eclipse. So, obviously, this new moon will be falling in your second house of earned income. So, that eclipse on April 30th can take a part or an effect of your finances. And like I said, this could be easily building up financial security, making more money, running into new sources of income that will be there for you and even affect you for the next few months. So you're definitely going to be having a lot going on with your second house. You're going to have Mercury entering your second house. You're going to have a new moon in your second house. So this is all income related or building financial security. This could also be a time of what is of value. A lot of times I associate that with major purchases, a home, a vehicle, starting a business. When you're putting all that together and you're building all that up, that can actually help in building more income, building something of value. And so this could actually relate to something that you're working towards and building up towards. And it could be that with the third house Third house, we usually think short trips, communication, vehicles, taking travels. Obviously, you're going to see more of that going on, short trips going on. But this could also relate to communication through emails, text messages, phone calls, sales. I noticed this a lot in people who do sales, bonuses, gaining through bonuses and commissions. That could be earned income too, even though I associate that with the eighth house. But this could also relate to a form of source of income. So you definitely want to start keeping an eye what comes about here, what is building up here, because I think that's going to play a big part on what comes about with the new moon eclipse. I will be discussing more of the new moon eclipse next month in April, but for right now, just kind of get ready because I think what comes about here this next coming week with the second house, I think is going to play a big part of what happens starts to happen there with that solar eclipse.